A kids podcast.
You can go slow.
A kids podcast about.
Hi, this is Matthew, and I'm head of podcasts at a kids company about. We are so glad you're listening to this show, and I wanted to let you know that we've got an entire network of podcasts dedicated to producing original content that talks up to kids, centers the things going on in their world, and engages and challenges how they see the world and themselves. With shows about facts, climate justice, current events, and activism, there's a show out there made just for your kid. Check out the A Kids Podcast About channel on Apple Podcasts or wherever podcasts are found, or visit akidsco.com.
Hi, I'm Ariane. I'm a journalist and a college professor, and I'm your host for Is That True? A kids podcast about facts. Each week, we'll go on a fact-checking investigation, and we'll do this with experts whose job it is to know these things, and enthusiasts, who are people who just really love the topics we'll be learning about. As a journalist, I ask questions every day. Questions like, why is something the way it is? Or what happened in history? Or what can we look into to know more? And it's so amazing to me that now I get to do all of that with you. We're going to ask these questions together. And along the way, we'll learn how to check to see if we know what we think we know. Uncovering the truth is lots of fun for me. And if you're a fact finder, truth seeker kind of kid too, you've definitely come to the right place. This season on Is That True? We'll investigate world records in Olympic history. We'll go around the world from Africa to Antarctica. And we'll learn a thing or two about how to sniff out the truth along the way. Today's fact is out of this world. Seriously, it's really that good.
Hi, my name is Anaya Griffith, and I am 8 years old, and I'm from Oregon. Did you know that potatoes can grow on Mars?
Potatoes on Mars? Wow, Anaya. I honestly have no idea. It's been a while since I learned about Mars in school. I was probably as young as many of you. And because science is always working on learning new things, I can assume that there are a lot of new research about Mars that I don't know. Some things could even be different. When we think about facts and what is true, things change. And sometimes they change a lot. When it comes to astronomy, the study of space, this is very true. The more we can go explore, the more we learn. Just think about the number of planets. When I was in school in the 1990s, we were taught that there were 9 planets in our solar system. And at the time, that was thought to be true. It was based on what we knew and what the science of that time could tell us. But in 2006, things changed. The International Astronomical Union, which is this huge group of really smart people in astronomy, said that Pluto should not be considered a planet, but something called a dwarf planet. So now our fact is different. We have 8 planets in our solar system. It's important to always get the most up-to-date information about space. So I looked for an expert who studies it, and I found the perfect person. After the break, I'll take you to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago to meet Dr. Voula Saradakis. She's a curator at the museum and a historian of science and technology. I can't wait for you to hear what she says. Be right back.
Hi, my name is Jonah, and I want to tell you about A Kids Class About, an all-new streaming platform for kids and teens. I took the class on Discovering Your Passion with teacher Kevin Carroll, and it was amazing and inspiring. I can't wait to check out more classes. There are even classes focused on careers, classes on life skills, and classes on big ideas. And if you're a kid or a teen, I think you're going to love them. Visit akidsco.com and sign up for a free 14-day trial.
Here at A Kids Company About, we make podcasts, but also books, classes, and even more for kids and families just like yours. We've got a couple new and upcoming books in our Little Book About Board book series, embracing toddlerhood's most essential topics. Here's one of our authors sharing a sneak peek.
Hey, my name's Alicia, and I'm the author and illustrator of A Little Book About Grit, a new book in the series about what it means to never give up and how that superpower supercharges your growth. Learn more about A Little Book About Grit by visiting akidsco.com.
Welcome back to Is That True? The podcast that explores how we know the things we know. At the start of this episode, Anaya told us that potatoes can grow on Mars. What do you think? Is that true? It's time to investigate our fact from Anaya. And to look into that, I went to a very cool science museum.
So hi, my name is Vula Saradakis, and I'm a curator at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. And I'm part of a team at the museum that takes care of thousands of artifacts, some of which are 100 or even 200 years old, and I help put exhibits together. And I'm also a historian of astronomy and space history, which means that I learned a lot about space and the history of spaceflight after college.
That is so cool. Can you tell us about how did you get into this work?
I always loved space. When I was a little girl, I remember the first thing I saw, I think I was in 3rd grade, was a book about the planets in the solar system. And that really made me so excited to learn more about space. And then I was watching film clips of Apollo missions that were landing on the moon. And it was just so exciting that I knew this is what I wanted to study and this is what I wanted to do.
I love that. So, of course, you are the perfect person to help us see if this fact is true. So, is it true that potatoes can grow on Mars?
Well, the short answer to that question is yes, we should be able to, under the right conditions, which actually have a lot to do with something called habitability.
Oh, wow. So, what does habitability mean?
Research groups around the world are exploring this thing called habitability. We also study it here on Earth. And that means to what degree or extent can we inhabit other worlds, not just Mars, but the moon or other planets in the solar system, and even beyond. So in addition to how much oxygen or atmosphere exists on these other worlds, this would determine how much or little we can breathe and the technology needed to help us breathe. But there's another really important aspect of habitability, which has to do with food and water. So if we started long-term colonies on Mars, we really couldn't bring enough food and water onto our spaceships because it simply wouldn't last long enough. But if we could find ways to create food and water on these other worlds and make them sustainable, then that would make it much more likely that we would be able to not only travel there, but also create inhabitable colonies.
Got it. So that is kind of what would need to happen so that we could live there. And so although we have not grown potatoes in Mars, we are trying to figure out how we could. And we think that we could.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone who might have seen the movie The Martian, you might have some idea of how to grow potatoes on Mars. Now, in the movie, and it's based on a book, an astronaut becomes stranded on Mars, and to keep himself alive, he starts growing potatoes. So in the movie, we see him, using Martian soil, but you still need fertilizer. And the only organic material fertilizer available to him is human waste. Now, that can be dangerous because human waste can carry bacteria and other pathogens, we call them, that could make us really, really sick. But in the movie, he freeze dries and exposes this human waste to sub-zero temperatures on Mars. And that way you wind up killing off anything harmful. He kills off anything harmful to himself. But there is another potential problem. Now, Martian soil contains a group of chemical compounds called perchlorates, which are in fact toxic to humans. But scientists think that we can get beyond this problem if we soak Martian soil in water and we wash it. So the idea is that the toxins would wash away, and then you could eat potatoes or any plants, for that matter, grown on Martian soil. But this has to be tested first. Now, potatoes also love the sun, and they need to be planted somewhere with plenty of sun, which is a problem on Mars because, as we already know, Mars is further from the sun than Earth.
And one important thing scientists are studying on Mars, gravity. You know, the thing that helps pull us towards the ground so we don't float away.
And finally, there is the issue of gravity. So Mars has only 1/3 of Earth's gravity. So the question is, can plants with roots that grow down into the ground grow down into the Martian ground if there's so little gravity? And tests have been done on the International Space Station that show that plants can still grow vertically in space. And they do this because they have a hormone called auxin, AUXIN, that helps them do exactly that. So we can also use special machines here on Earth to test plants with simulated Martian gravity. And so these tests suggest that Mars's gravity is not an issue or should not be an issue. But again, just like with the temperatures, this has to be tested on Mars to be absolutely positive.
And what other work is being done to test habitability on Mars?
Recently, the latest Mars rover, Perseverance, or Percy as we call it, which landed on Mars this past February, is also performing some really important tests and experiments that will eventually help us learn more about habitability on Mars. So Perseverance is the first mission designed to seek signs of past microbial life by collecting rock and soil samples that will actually one day be returned to Earth. And Percy will also look for evidence that there was once a possibility of life and a possibility of water. And finally, it has special experiment equipment on board that is going to try to convert carbon dioxide into oxygen, which is something that we would need to breathe. So all of this is designed to help us learn more about the planet.
So Dr. Saradakis was our perfect expert for this fact because she loves space history and astronomy and space flight. And if you do too, there are tons of ways you could work in this industry when you grow up.
What you are able to do in the space industry. It's great to be an astronaut. A lot of people think, the first thing they think about is, hey, I want to be an astronaut. And if that's what you want to be, that's great. And I say go for it. But there's so many other ways you can contribute to our understanding of space and the future travel to space, whether it's travel by humans or even robotic probes. So be an astronaut if you want to be an astronaut, or you can also be a biologist. You could be an engineer, a geologist, an astronomer, a roboticist, a technician. You could even be a space journalist if you wanted to. So there's really a whole universe of options out there. And maybe even one day you'll be testing those first Mars soil samples that will be coming back to Earth from the Perseverance mission.
Wow, I love that. Maybe it is time for a career change because space journalist sounds like an amazing opportunity.
Right.
Thank you so much, Vula. We are just so happy to have you today. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
So is it true that potatoes can grow on Mars? Yes, it's true. It's part of the work scientists are doing to see if we could live there. A thing called habitability. Scientists are working on how to make sure potatoes are fertilized, that they get enough sun, and that the soil on Mars is safe, but it is possible. Thank you so much, Anea, for helping us learn this fact. Thank you to Dr. Vula Saradakis, curator at the Museum of Science and Industry, for being our expert today. You can learn more about the museum by visiting msichicago.org. Is That True is written by me, Ariane Nettles. Our show is edited and produced by Ari Mathey with help from Matthew Winner. Audio production is by Chad Michael Snavely and the team at Sound On Studios. Our executive producer is Jelani Memory. And this show was brought to you by A Kids Podcast About. Do you have a fact you'd like us to investigate? Write to us at listen@akidspodcastabout.com. And check out other podcasts made for kids just like you by visiting akidsco.com.
Hi, this is Matthew, and I'm head of podcasts at A Kids Company About. We hope you enjoyed this show, and we'd love for you to check out our growing library of shows at A Kids Podcast About. Whether you're looking for storytelling with crafts and activities, fact-finding with experts and enthusiasts, or looking to explore and understand your world better, we have got a podcast for you. Check out the A Kids Podcast About channel on Apple Podcasts or wherever podcasts are found, or visit akidsco.com.